Picture this. A toddler stands next to an empty cookie jar, their face covered in chocolate crumbs. When you ask if they ate the cookies, they look right at you and shake their head no. In that moment, it is incredibly easy to assume your child is actively calculating a lie, looking you in the eye, and choosing to deceive you. That denial triggers a very specific panic for caregivers. You might wonder if this is the start of a chronic habit, or worry that you are raising someone who lacks a moral compass and is heading toward future delinquency. But that panic is based on a flawed premise. We cause our own anxiety by taking a fully mature adult standard of morality and projecting it onto a brain that literally has not finished building its foundation. A 2- or 3-year-old does not possess the neural architecture required to execute a calculated malicious deception. The cognitive tools for that simply aren't ready yet. Instead, they rely heavily on what developmental psychologists call magical thinking. To a toddler, reality is not a fixed set of facts. They genuinely believe that if they speak a desired outcome aloud, like saying, "I didn't break it," the universe will alter itself and the toy will be whole again. When we misinterpret this biological phase as defiance, we tend to react with adult-sized discipline. We demand immediate confessions, lay on heavy guilt, or use our size and volume to intimidate. Responding with fear and punishment does not teach a child to value the truth. It just teaches them that telling the truth is dangerous, and it trains them in the tactical mechanics of hiding. If we strip away the moral panic, early childhood falsehoods actually fall into predictable, non-malicious categories driven by their developmental stage. This flow map breaks down the fear lie. Anger triggers the child's amygdala. Denial is a survival reflex. For the imagination lie, the developing brain simply merges reality and fantasy. Finally, an accusatory question bypasses logic, forcing an automatic yes from a child lacking vocabulary. Whether it is a fear reflex, an overactive imagination, or a lack of vocabulary, the outward behavior looks identical. Correcting it requires addressing the specific mechanical cause underneath. How we interpret those underlying causes depends heavily on where we live. Global culpable lie versus a required social grace. In Western, individualistic societies like Canada, objective truth and personal assertiveness are the primary moral priorities. In this framework, a falsehood feels like a breach of personal integrity and a direct violation of trust. Consider the Filipino concept of hiya. This is a complex social regulator involving dignity, respect for elders, and a drive to maintain group harmony. It functions as an internal compass to protect the family from public disgrace. In a collectivist culture, smoothing over the blunt truth is a heavily socialized skill. Children learn very early that withholding a harsh fact or offering a socially acceptable fiction is necessary to preserve peace and avoid causing interpersonal friction. A 2-year-old's brain hits the exact same cognitive milestones everywhere in the world. It is the local cultural values that dictate whether an adult responds with severe punishment or gentle correction. This creates a unique psychological dilemma for children navigating overlapping cultures, like a bicultural Filipino-Canadian child. They are forced to operate under 2 deeply contradictory sets of rules regarding honesty. At school, Western educators actively reward independent thinking and direct, blunt communication. Then, that same child goes home to a traditional environment that demands unyielding obedience and prioritizes the preservation of peace. To bridge that gap, bicultural children often develop highly sophisticated evasion skills. They aren't acting out of malice. They use selective honesty as an essential interface tool to survive conflicting adult expectations without losing their primary attachments. If we want to change how our children handle the truth, we have to look backward. Think about your own childhood experiences with discipline, anger, and the consequences of telling the truth. Many of the parenting habits we inherit are designed solely to produce immediate compliance. They prioritize making a child quiet and obedient in the moment over doing the slow, messy work of teaching the actual value of honesty. When we corner a toddler and demand a forced confession, or use public shaming to prove a point, we are recreating the exact fear-based compliance that was modeled for us when we were young. Those inherited, punitive methods do not consistently produce morally honest children. What they reliably produce are anxious adults, people who spend their lives struggling with chronic people-pleasing, with identity masking, and a default reliance on silence. This timeline maps our reactions. Top path, a mistake met with anger teaches that vulnerability is dangerous, leading to a closed loop of sophisticated concealment. But on the bottom path, calm guidance shows the truth is safe, opening an upward trajectory towards secure honesty. Discipline achieves its purpose when it builds a home where a child never has to choose between telling the truth and feeling loved. A toddler's early experiments with deception are a sign of a healthy, growing brain. When we stop treating those moments as moral crimes to be punished and start viewing them as cognitive skills to be patiently coached, we lay the foundation for lifelong character.